everybody. I am Seal Stanford, and today we are going to be talking about the 10 steps of greatness. Step number 4. We talked about the third step last week, and that was all around love and having that ability to study. And I'm pretty excited today because I've got my colleague Camilo with me, and he's going to be teaching today as well. So Camilo, please say hello.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much, Seal, for inviting me. Yeah, I'm excited for today's topic. So another thing that I just want to mention before we start is that if you want to get the worksheet that we create for this topic, you can write in the comments, practice, and we will send that back to you. And that's it.
Thank you so much. So step 4. Step 4 is around practice and truth. And, you know, in order to get the truth of something, in order to get your game perfected, if you will, and to be at the top, you do have to practice. You have to do the thing that you're trying to get that level of mastery in over and over again to perfect your game. Because what you're going for is to be more competent, to have more truth. And you're wanting to make yourself into a champion and be the best that you can be versus failing in it and coming in second or third or whatever, right? And so in order to get the truth of something and really get to that level of greatness that you're going for, the fourth step is, the third step is study. And then after you study and you have more knowledge, the fourth step is then you practice. You put into practice what you've learned, what you know, instead of pretending not to know or pretending to know. So with that, Camilo, tell us the first main point here around practicing and getting more truth.
Yeah, thank you very much, Seal. So yeah, the first point is that in order to become a champion, there is a formula. And you need to practice that formula. So as Alan mentioned in the Secrets book, he also repeat that in these 10 steps for greatness, is that every person to become a champion in their field, they really need a lot of practice. They need to have a dream, an intention, a vision, but also a lot of training and practice. And practice is one of the things that really connects you with those dreams, because it's the medium to get there. It's like you practice, and you are more able to really connect to those different pieces of the game that you are playing. And those pieces, as you practice more and more, it's like there's more truth to it, because you are able to really recreate the last result that you want from that game. So yeah, one thing that is important here is that every champion practice each part of the game, so they can become very competent at it, and they can really demonstrate that competence so others can enjoy that competence, but they also can enjoy the benefits and fruits of that practice. So, and one thing that comes to mind as I was preparing for this is I was reading about Michael Phelps. So yeah, he's a champion of champions. He is the #1 in gold medals for the Olympic Games. I was checking 23 medals, gold medals, and other silver and everything. But yeah, the level of practice that he needed in order to get there was massive. So I really was seeing all the record, and he needed way more practice than any of the others, Olympic athletes. That's something that it's really important to take into account, because you have the dream, the intention, and the vision, but the training and practice must be there in order to get your dreams and accomplish them big time.
Yeah, I was impressed when you were sharing with me his stats, that you said he got 23, right? And you said the next person, they had, how many was it? Was it 9?
Yeah, 9.
9. I was like, wow, that is such a big difference. So, wow. Yeah. Great demonstration of getting that truth in action. So the second piece on this is what is the purpose of practicing? And the purpose of practicing really is to increase your competency level. And when I was studying for this, it reminded me of something that I heard Alan share, and he also wrote it in the Secrets book, that when he wanted to play professional football, Australian rules, basically he signed himself up to be on 5 teams. And the reason why he did this is because he wanted to fail so that he could get competent in the areas that he was not good at a lot quicker, so he could achieve his success in a shorter time frame. I mean, I thought it was brilliant. He signed up for 4 not professional teams, I guess you would call them, lesser league teams or whatever. And then he had the 1 professional team. So he trained 5 nights a week. And basically, he crammed 10 years of football into 2 years. And then he was actually made it to playing professional Australian football and was on the first live televised game that there ever was on TV. So, but his purpose for doing that, I mean, this takes a lot of nerve, if you will, and a lot of a great headspace, in my opinion, because he just wanted to find out what he didn't know and what he did know, and then drill and then practice and practice and practice till he got that skill, on a professional level. So that is the second piece of that, and that is around practice. Is there anything you want to add on that?
Yeah, something interesting that Alan mentioned in the book is that at the first year that he was like following that schedule, like all the teams that he was in, they were failing teams.
Yeah.
But as he started practicing all this, he started becoming good. Like in that 1 year, he didn't make it, but then the second year, he really could sum up all that practice and start getting results. So yeah, sometimes it takes some time to really get there, but the practice is the one that will give you like the competence. So
Yeah. Thank you. And then the last thing is on this piece is looking at the great masters going all the way, the master painters that goes all the way back to the Renaissance period. You could look at Michelangelo, you could look at Da Vinci, you could look at Raphael. And, I heard Alan talk about this story once when I was on one of his courses. And, basically what he pointed out is they all did these long apprenticeships, if you will, which is where they broke down each piece and learned how to do all of it so that they could become masters in their fields. But what I loved about it was they did very, menial tasks. I mean, they would like sweep the floors, run and get food, take out the garbage, whatever needed to be done. They never had the attitude, well, that's not my job, that's not my responsibility. They were willing to truly apprentice and do whatever so they could take their skills and perfect it and take it to that level of mastery. So they were apprenticing. And it reminds me of that little statement that he says, master all the pieces. So master all the pieces that you're going for in your game, and that makes a masterpiece. And I especially relate that to painters. But the other thing that how I can relate to that in my life is, and I didn't know I was doing this at the time. I just knew that it was a very successful formula for myself. When I got a job, at a large insurance company, which was what I really wanted at that time, I think I was around 25, 26 years old. I mean, I knew nothing, no college degree or anything. So I started at the lowest, at a very entry level position. But when I was working in that entry level position, I saw the position that I wanted, which 95% of the people in the company, they had a college degree. And I didn't know if it was ever possible, if I could ever get there. But what I did know, that anytime I wanted I knew that the best way that I learned and that I could do that job is if I did, here goes back to mastering, if I did every job that and learned all the pieces before I got ready to apply for that big job. So I started out as an assistant. Then I went over and became a customer service assistant. Then I became a sales assistant so I could understand what does it take to sell the product. I knew what it took to service it, but what do you, because selling is very different. So as a sales assistant, I learned those skills. Then I became an in-house customer service rep. And then when I applied for the big account management position, that came with an office with a door, a big thing, and a window that overlooked the city, and my own assistant, and traveling to 3 states. I mean, a lot of responsibility, more than I ever dreamed I'd ever be able to accomplish. I had worn all those hats, done all the pieces, and mastered those. And so when I applied, I felt super, super confident because and very competent because I didn't need to know a lot. Basically, what I needed to know was how to travel, how to fly in and out of airports, get around and go visit my customers face to face, which I'd already done it, on the phone, and then how to speak to people in public. Now that was a skill that I did not have, but they trained me to do it. But that's what I was doing. I was breaking it all down without knowing, but that was my formula in order to get to that level of greatness, without really being aware of, hey, this is a magic formula. I never will forget, I had a guy that graduated from SMU, and he said, I've had a couple of account managers, and he said, you are the best. And that was such a what would you call it? Such a compliment, because at that time having a degree was a big thing, and I was the only one, like 3 in the country, that didn't have one. So anyway, that was the steps I took. I apprenticed, and I knew that to be competent and to confident, I needed to do all those pieces, and then it wouldn't be a difficult task. So with that, is there anything else you want to share?
Thank you, Sil. Yes, like the level of commitment that you need to get there it's massive. So yeah, and many times when we are starting something new, it's important to, if we want to really love the area and really become great in the area, it's like, okay, we need some years to really get there, and we need a lot of knowledge, but especially a lot of practice, because you need to practice all the pieces, and then you will start seeing results. But yeah, many times like we want to maybe change to a new career, but we are
Yeah.
not willing to take the years to make that
Yes.
commitment to become great at it. So so sometimes we prefer to stay in the more comfort position instead of moving to the next level. So yeah, that's what's coming to you. And with your story, it's like, okay, yeah, he took all the pieces, really mastered them, became very good at all of them, and then it's like that competence shows, and everybody recognized that. So yeah, thank you so much for sharing, Sil.
Oh, you're welcome. And so with that, to wrap this up, 10 steps to greatness. This is step number 4. You have to practice. And some people might not like, you may not like practice, but if you look at it, if you change your mindsets, remember, changing your mindset will change the future you create. So if you change your mindset around practice and look at it like you're just learning and finding out what you don't know, so you know what pieces to practice, and also what pieces you do know, which is very validating and gives you a lot of confidence, and you'll probably be a lot closer to mastering that piece than what you really realize. So thank you so much for dialing in. We'll see you next week to talk about step 5. Practice.